I think the impact from artificial intelligence is going to be very similar to the impact from just the broader internet. I mean, if you think of today and everything we do versus 1993, when nobody had access, or the majority of the world besides the government didn't have access to the World Wide Web, let's use that term, I think it's going to have the same impact. I think it's going to be embedded into every type of application we do. Within our lives, I think there's going to be several opportunities. I think there will be risks. I think those risks will be regulated, right? So I don't fear AI's impact, because I think the legislation and the risk management will come along with it.
Welcome to the Trailblazers podcast presented by BST Global, where we feature the visionaries who are helping to shape the AEC industry of the future. My name is Javier Baldor, Chief Executive Officer at BST Global and your host. Today I'm joined by Raj Arora, Chief Executive Officer at Jensen Hughes. Welcome, Raj.
Thanks so much for having me.
Great to see you. We go back a few years.
Yes.
So it's great to see you. And you're dual-hatted now, not only CEO of Jensen Hughes, but the chair of the American Consulting Engineers Council Technology Committee, which I want to get to today.
Don't remind me of all these hats that I wear.
Well, I'll begin by saying, from my perspective, I don't know many CEOs who are as tech savvy as you are. So really interested to get your take on things. But first, please introduce me to, and us, our audience, to Jensen Hughes, and tell your story.
Well, thanks for letting me do that and having me on this podcast. I'm the CEO of Jensen Hughes. I've been the CEO for almost 5 years. We are the global leader in fire protection engineering and all types of engineering and consulting disciplines around risk and security and safety. We have 1,700 colleagues around the world, and we operate in 100 different countries. And we just pride ourselves on making the world safe, secure, and resilient.
Awesome. Now tell me about your personal story.
My story, I am a fire protection engineer, so I'm one of them. I spent the first decade of my career in consulting engineering in a family business called Aurora Engineers, which still exists today. And we focused on MEP for airports. At that time, the company continues to thrive. And from there, I went to what's now known as Johnson Controls. So it was called Tyco back then, or I was on the Tyco side. And I ended up leading a $1 billion product business for them in the fire protection space, but there was a good amount of software in that P&L. So I got close to how that business works and kind of the traditional ways of growing technology. And then 7 years ago, I made the move to Jensen Hughes, and it was the best. It is the best of both worlds. It's not a large corporation with hundreds of thousands of employees, but it's not small. And we're able to move fast, but we have, big company processes. And Jensen Hughes, about 10% of our revenue has a technology component to it. So whether or not we're using that technology to deliver our work and then we sell it to the client on a subscription basis, or we are innovating products that are sold directly to the client without our use, that helps them solve their problems.
I want to come back to that one. That's a really interesting dialogue to have. I want to talk about your passion first, and what really truly inspires you as a leader in this industry.
I'm all about our people in this industry and in my company. So I want to make sure our leaders and our frontline engineers are satisfied. They love the company. They love being in this industry. What I don't like, said differently, is when people leave my firm or leave the industry to do something differently and just kind of tying that to technology and what's coming down the pike on artificial intelligence, or what's here now even, I truly believe that it's going to improve the employee's experience and just take non-value work off the table, and we're going to get better and not have to scale our resources as much. So that's my passion.
Talk to me about your leadership style.
Me?
Yes.
Depends who's asking.
What are the the core pillars of that? How do you lead, and particularly a diverse business, a global business, as you have not only a consulting world-renowned at fire protection, but also a tech business at the same time. Tell me about those pillars that you have successfully put into play.
Yeah, well, first it starts with the people, so I want to make sure that there's the right environment for the people to thrive and they feel inspired to come to work every day and they know what the purpose is of the firm. So for me, it all starts there. Number two, it's about having a strategy that aligns to that purpose with very clear initiatives that get us from point A to point B on that strategy. So maintaining focus on the vital few. Mm-hmm. And then I think it's about being humble and inclusive and just running for me, a flatline organization where we know why we exist, we know what we need to do to get there, and so then now we're all doing it together. And then the last is I'm pretty results-oriented, so I hold people accountable, and we look at the numbers, and we make sure we course correct or we celebrate when we're having a good, when we're exceeding the metrics, but there's no squishiness on the metrics for me.
Expect nothing less.
Yeah.
Talk to me about this little known thing called AI. We're all stepping into this from the lens of as a CEO of Jensen Hughes and also the chair of ACEC, the tech committee. So maybe straddle that fence for me. What do you think what do you think it is? And what do you think it's going to become in terms of scale for your consultancy as well as our industry?
Yeah, well, I think the impact from artificial intelligence is going to be very similar to the impact from just the broader internet. I mean, if you think of today and everything we do versus 1993 when nobody had access, or the majority of the world besides the government didn't have access to the World Wide Web, let's use that term, I think it's going to have the same impact. I think it's going to be embedded into every type of application we do. Within our lives, I think there's going to be several opportunities. I think there will be risks. I think those risks will be regulated, right? So I don't fear AI's impact because I think the legislation and the risk management will come along with it.
Put the guardrails in play then.
They'll put the guardrails in play, but I mean, if I put my ACEC technology committee chair hat on, I mean, there's several different horizons of technology. There's the stuff that helps us operate our firm every day. It could be an ERP system. It could be our video conferencing platform, any fundamental technology. Then there's the technology that helps us get our technical work done, right? You can think about AutoCAD solutions or solutions from Bentley. If I'm named, am I allowed to name drop?
Right, it's all good. It's all good.
Maybe they'll sponsor the podcast now.
There we go.
But things to make the technical product better, faster, more efficient. And then the third horizon could be selling technology of some sort, whether it's your own or somebody else's, to the end client to help solve their problems. All three horizons are being drastically impacted by AI, right? Just as an example, Microsoft Teams, please be a sponsor of the Trailblazers podcast, is taking notes for you now, right? Or they say in a few months, Microsoft Office We'll be able to generate PowerPoint slides and discounted cash flow models and things like that, very easily. Things that some of us can't do right now. Then you have these AutoCAD and Bentleys of the world embedding AI technologies to basically automate a lot of the engineering work. So I won't go on and on about it, but it's moving. It's going to be embedded into the type of technologies we use today. And I think we need to embrace it. However, I will say, and I'll probably say it throughout the conference that we're at this week, is that you don't have to do all three technology horizons. You don't have to do anything. You have to do what's right for your company and for your business strategy, which should follow your mission and purpose as a company. 100%. I think everybody feels like, okay, well, if there's three horizons, which is what Raj is calling it, I guess success means I get to Horizon 3. That's not it. It's what's best for each firm.
Let's come back to Jensen Hughes. If you were to identify a top priority or planned investment in one of those horizons, what would that use case that you have explored or are currently exploring, maybe to share with our audience, and why?
So our model is a lot of consultants, what we call seller doers internally, doing work for clients, doing great work, getting repeat business all day long. Phone rings, we write a proposal, it's out the door. That's a lot of our work. We do large capture and everything, but that's not the majority of it. We spend a lot of time writing letter proposals and writing reports. And we are laser focused on using AI tools to leverage our own information that's on our network, as well as your standard generative AI tools to get us the 85, 90% answer on these reports and these proposals so that we could free up more capacity to improve the employee experience, focus on other initiatives, go out and spend more time with clients and grow the business without the dependency of scaling the human capital and the people in the same linear fashion.
Talk about that prize. What do you think that prize will be if you were to speculate in terms of unlocking, unleashing them, and relieving them of that block of time? Just off the top of your head, what would you speculate?
I'm not speculating because we've done the math, but I would say I think companies could improve their EBITDA or their ability to invest, whatever they want to use their money for, by a factor of maybe 20 to 30% of today's EBITDA or profit of their company.
Wow.
But everybody doesn't have the same profile.
Yeah.
Everybody has a different strategy, so I want to be measured.
Yeah. That's fair.
People have to do what's right for them, but that's what the question was, what we're focused on, and that's the big use case right now.
I love it. You built a tech business within Jensen Hughes. Imagine it wasn't easy. Talk about how you approached that and how that was received by your staff, how it was received by your clients. What was that journey like?
Yeah, well, we've come together through a lot of M&A, Jensen Hughes. We're a combination of almost 36 companies over the last decade or decade and a half. Some of the businesses that we acquired had small technology components, and then we've acquired some businesses that are pure technology. But what we found in all these companies were there are consulting engineers doing professional services that are playing around with software in the background. I bet every consulting engineering company listening today has somebody like that, and we identified 30, 40 people around the business, and we decided to put them under one roof. We inventoried the different types of products we had. We promoted it. We created a product roadmap for the organization. And then we picked 3 new product introductions that we're going to play around with. And we built them in kind of an agile way. Not all of them succeeded, and There are other ideas that came in and came out, but we launched minimum viable products to the organization, to our clients, and we iterated and kind of that whole build, measure, learn. And we promoted. We had to do a lot of internal promotion like we were marketing, right? I should have done the Trailblazers podcast for Jensen Hughes.
That's it.
But still to this day, can I say that everybody, 100% of the organization understands that side? Probably not. Clients knew us for some legacy products that were in the market that we've released next-gen solutions for, but then we went into some end markets cold with new products, and it's about trust. So if our frontline consultant, who they've trusted for decades, says, hey, I think we're onto something here that can make you more productive, if that's the value proposition, they listen because of the trust.
Yeah, 100%.
But it's getting that consultant. The biggest part is getting that consultant to have the conversation.
And it's probably a foreign conversation, I would imagine, because they're adept, skilled, and certainly have done for many, many years, perhaps the consulting piece of it. Now you're talking about a product play, a different business model, which I'd like to get your take on, at this point as well. A lot of thoughts around how this industry is going to evolve, the whole time and materials to some other operating model, perhaps value-driven, lump sum, whatever that shape may take. You've taken some steps, obviously, moving towards monetization of a software product, SaaS model, et cetera. Your thoughts? Again, given your lens as Jensen Hughes CEO, as well as from an ACEC perspective. Maybe your take on the business model. What are we heading into?
So Jensen Hughes, the majority of our work is lump sum or what we call firm fixed price. So there's been a little bit less resistance or viscosity for those on the line who are engineers in our system, because we are able to utilize products and get more productive without that tension on time and material. If we just stick on that, as the chair of ACEC, one of the big things that we're dealing with is that advocacy needed, because most of the firms in ACEC focus on Department of Transportation-like work and do time and materials. So for them, it's like, we want to use this technology and we want to get more productive, but our revenue goes down. And so first, my call to action is for you and all the other technology companies out there to help the industry advocate. Some have bigger muscles than others, but we got to come together because we need to do this collectively. And the ACEC has a tremendous advocacy group led by Steve Hall that is marching down this path, but it's a hard battle to fight, right? Getting different states to do things differently, but I think it's ultimately going to happen. The question is about speed. But let's just say that does happen. You asked about business models. So for those who specialize, let's say in my company in healthcare, and we have a healthcare product, we have engaged them throughout the development and the business case and the development of the platform, so they're vested. So they're our early adopters. And we pair them up with folks that are pure technology professionals that have come from that industry that we've hired to help demo, pitch, sell the software. We pair them together. That's probably the easiest way, but going out to our organization as a whole and giving 1,700 people a technology tool and say, go sell this because it's good for the clients, you're not going to gain traction that way. So we're very targeted and inclusive with those folks throughout the process, so they're vested.
Awesome. Yeah, to your point, Daphne Bryant, the team at ACEC, talking about that future consultancy of 2035. A lot of great work being done. Talk about the future of work. What type of engineer are we talking about going forward? I know you're a graduate University of Maryland, the Terrapins.
Yes.
Say you were graduating today. What skill do you need to have ready to go or learned, in the relatively near future to be successful tomorrow, in the years to come, in this AI era?
Wow, that's a great question. What doesn't change is an engineer that has a relationship orientation, strong communication skills, EQ, that makes you very dangerous in this industry. And it's something that's not always there.
Present, yeah.
So that nut doesn't change. I think those who are agile, because things are going to change really fast, and those who want to learn new ways of doing things and can teach themselves new things, because the older generation may not want to learn new things, or things may be flying too fast and they're like, look, I got 5 years left. I'm not going to this rodeo here. So I think there's a lot of that hunger and that self-starting nature of somebody is going to be important. The technical skills, I think you still need the same backgrounds. Yeah. I was talking about behaviors most. The technical skills, I think, are still going to be required, and how you access that information, consume, digest that information, and it becomes a finished product will change. But you can't fake your knowledge of different engineering practices, codes, and standards. Obviously, it depends on what discipline you're at. But I think the X factor right now are folks that are hungry to learn, those who are agile, and those who are not afraid to teach themselves.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. In this generation, obviously, it's the iPhone generation, the digital natives coming in, and this is once in a generation for them. We talk about it in our context, the internet. This is, perhaps the next generation, even multiply. One could argue, and you start taking a look at, what could become? What does that engineer of the future look like? And perhaps arguably they're going to be a prompt engineer. They're going to be teaching models and training models, and maybe there's a pairing opportunity, to your point, for that person who's on the last 5 years of their career. Maybe it's an opportunity to pair, that digital native prompt engineer to take that domain experience and apply it more broadly, before it goes away. I don't know, your quick thoughts on that.
No, I mean, there's so many different directions this can go. It's hard to speculate, right? But there's no doubt in our field that modeling is going to go to a whole new level, and visualizations of engineered products, systems, solutions are going to be at our fingertips in the design phase versus, in construction, et cetera. So I agree. It can go many different directions. I can't wait to see how it goes.
What, maybe leave you with a final question. What are you most excited about in the future, personally, and really for Jensen Hughes, and perhaps for our industry as well?
I'm most excited about the opportunity for growth in this industry and to satisfy the demand. There's such an imbalance between supply of talent and demand for our services. Every single engineering company in the ENR 500 is going to complain about the shortage of talent. And I just think we are going to solve that with technology. We are all going to grow very aggressively. And because of that, there's going to be tons of investment coming in. Private equity investments running rampant, right? We're old school private equity, but there's so many new private equity investors, and it doesn't have to be that. And based on the ability to satisfy demand, owners and countries are going to invest more. And it's just going to improve the world.
So you think we solve the resource challenge with AI and these emerging?
We are taking a huge step forward on the resource challenge if the risk is mitigated,
Yeah.
the use cases are developed, which is going to happen, and that firms embrace kind of a new way of working in the technology if it fits their strategy, which I think will happen. It just, each firm will be on a different point on the change curve.
Well, we'll come back in a few years, 5 years, and we'll roll the tape and see if we have solved this.
We will.
We will.
Shall,
But
yeah.
hey, great to see you. And you're an inspiring leader for our industry. It's great to have you here at our conference, and very appreciative of that. And you joining us on our podcast, and wishing you and Jensen Hughes much continued success in the future.
Thanks, Javier, and thanks to the BST team.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining us on this episode of the Trailblazers podcast. Until next time, take care.